The wood planet. No, previously the initial digging out and setting up of a new locale. All the potential that entails. All the problems that entails. Since I went and rechecked the numbers and I was mistaken about an aspect of the petrol cycle. It is dirt positive. It is not water positive. It does cost some amount of water. So long as you are using domesticated trees. This leaves potential for another option. Proper use of cats. So it leaves open the problems of, alright, I still need to find somewhere to get new water. You know, in the otherwise. And I need some scalable way to generate oxygen. Which I think mostly is going to call for more exploratory tunnel to try and spot something that can provide leverage and be of help. I'm also thinking strongly among my other options here is to salt vine. Bite into some rust. Bite into some salt. Generate chlorine, and then reprocess chlorine via the methods. Yeah, for now we got these pools of ethanol tapped to pull in, and that will give us some amount of water on the side. But I'm gonna rein in this development. Try to consider some other factors involved here. With a bit of planning, leverage cats into creating a wild, free-range wood farm that would require no input material. Generate vast quantities of wood to convert to fuel. Let's see, what tech did I have down? Yeah, animal handling. Nothing about plastic making yet. Conductive wire could prove important. Orb will certainly remain of use. Let's get basic air systems. I have these 12 tons of water and the need to secure more by whatever means. Yeah, we got caustic to the right, rust to the up. Definitely running an oxygen deficit. The problems of Wood Planet. Novel situation where even going to 4 dupes may have been too much. Could have been a mistake. Nice. Nice. The oxide number. Yes, let's see. How much wild tree do I have around? $15 I've tagged so far there. It would take 20-something to drive enough ethanol to drive 1 generator at capacity. And if it's all wild wood, then the process would be water positive at that point. Enough trees exist that it could be done. Probably with need to rearrange those trees. Potentially. It's to be determined. May as well wrap up all blue research, since that just costs dirt, and dirt is abundant. Dirt is everywhere. Just look around. You have 1 hatch. Yeah, we were missing out on having someone actually trained for ranching, which, alright, there you go. Now wrangle. If I can get Sage Hatch, those can eat dirt. And then the dirt surplus would... It would be harnessed for another purpose. It would provide more energy. Which is one thing. Just something kind of perpendicular to the pressing matter. To the real concern. For now, but just make sure that each tree that's known to exist has space around it to grow. That's the beginning. This weird, decentralized, free-range setup. The thing that is nominally the core gimmick of Wood Planet. Needing to find wild biological solutions to your industrial problems. You know, Druid Planet. And just all the while keep making more exploratory tubes. If I were to grow salt vine, what does it take? Pretty normal living temperatures, any air pressure, just chlorine. Requires sand. We'd need to start generating a lot of sand, since sand needs to be deliberately produced. Alright, so maybe salt vine isn't very feasible. Rather, domestic salt vine isn't very feasible. But if I orchestrate migrating the wild salt vine towards dirt, towards chlorine, maybe. Really the big thing would be finding any kind of geyser. That would provide the barest sense of safety. Having some dispensed material to harvest. You can work around that. But still, nothing in sight. Chlorine, I could not diffuse it into the water. Substances never mix. A tile is only one thing. If chlorine is in contact with stank water, it will start to disinfect the stank water. That's the case. Also, speaking of, some amount of stench water. It's managing to... I should tear this down. I can properly guarantee that the sewage is falling in the right direction. So if I were to plan around some weird architecture to provide a powered life support option, so that would be another thing. The deoxidizer is also a power drawing and heat generating device. Although barely any power. 60 watt. Wow, that's really efficient. For, wait, even how much? 570 for 60 watts. So 7.4 grams of oxygen per watt out of the electrolyzer. What about you? 9.5. This is more efficient per watt for electricity. Print that crab. Crab deployed. Crab is known. You would download every crab. Yes, we got enough trees just hanging around. That wild wood seems feasible. Though it would be labor intensive, so that pushes the problem over to I need life support for several dupes. Someone please catch that hatch. This is kind of giving me second thoughts about my oxyferns as well. It's once again, so 0.625. .2 of these per dupe. One domestic. One wild. That's much worse. But at no cost in material. Yeah, it becomes a dozen of these per dupe, and so my 4 dupes would be very hard pressed to survive. It's a situation that calls for the math. For the thinking about. Take away one resource and suddenly everything changes. Each dupe can generate 6.7 kilograms of water a day. Because I can feed them water-free, and then new water will be created by way of the lavatories. 4 dupes that potentially have a 26, 27 kilogram water budget. Which is sufficient for 1 domestic oxyfern, 1.5 domestic oxyfern. Although, let's see, if the generator were running and didn't have to pay its liquid output, it's 450 kilograms of liquid out when it's fully revved up. That would be enough to water 23 oxyfern. Which would in turn be enough for 7 dupes to breathe off of. Yeah, I think wild wood is the solution here, and in turn, trying to orchestrate a way to have a lot of wild wood in one convenient space. Try to engineer some wild farm. Which I do have all this dirt volume I can work with. There's potential here. It requires being very careful, very surgical with dirt management. New dirt tiles can be created, but that is in turn an engineering feat of its own. So let's see, some of my largest uninterrupted blocks of dirt are like right here. So knowing that I already need this dent for this wild tree, or planning to relocate that wild tree, let's think about making some cuts into this. Where it takes 3 by 3 for each tree. Five trees could fit here, and only the tiles where the trees are planted need to be natural dirt. And indeed, only those tiles should be natural dirt. That way the cats will only be able to plant seeds on the target tiles. So in turn with that in mind, so that's 5 trees planned for out of that volume. And then furthermore, got some spaces up here. There's 5 more, and this whole expanse of metal can be hollowed out. The architecture of pseudo-domestication of some sort. Horticulture? You could say? Maybe? Although another engineering thing I would consider for eventual fanciness would be if I were to install auto-gatherers, auto-sweepers, and rails to facilitate collecting of wood on a massive scale with less labor. Allowing for a given mass of wood to be run by fewer dupes. Perhaps. Alright, so fit 10 trees into there. Yeah, this vein of metal kind of complicates the shape of things, and of course this this dent up. Ah, but here's a nice, clean horizontal bar of dirt, which I'm already going to be reaching from this side as well. And a gap that I can cut through. Where then, so to skip ahead a bit, the technique to get this populated would be to have the orchard closed off, have a critter drop off to use to install a cat, and then a storage bin to relocate acorns into the area, and then just leave them on the floor, and the cat will do the rest. No, hey, that's not right. Well, that's, yeah, it's not unuseful. That's just flat space, so the logistic part of that can be here. Storage bin, animal receiver, then nature does the rest. Pips can reach inside of storage bins. I can also forcibly empty a storage bin by just turning off its filter. Nice. A healthy, earthy orb, from which many trees can spring. Meep. This has happened before. Meep is perhaps slightly overzealous in going out to operate the wheel, to pump the fuel. Eventually this will not be a concern. Meep will find food somewhere. Meep has food. Meep is okay. Using that same methodology, I could also start to transplant all the oxyfern that are laying around to a central location to be sure that they are all attacking the largest carbon sink, and that none of them are sitting idle in kind of liminal space out there. Catwhy. Some high priority mopping going here. The slightest bit of water purifying has managed to occur. The lavatories are online, so I can disassemble those. Celebrate the abundance of wood carefully. Guess I want to do the water recycling setup here with my sewage. How much sand do I even have right now? I have much lumber. I have no sand at the moment. Now that's dangerous. Fortunately, I have much igneous rock, so I can start crushing this. This height of room, that means I'm setting up without a shower, unless I extend the plumbing circuit, which I could just as well do. Showering in recycled sewage. It's the latest thing. Yeah, the ethanol is going to be pumped down to fill a healthy backlog in those storage containers. The moment the wires are connected, we'll have energy to the base for quite a while. The wires are connected. We have energy to the base for quite a while. And in fact, I can cancel loading this distiller entirely. Yeah, let's just not think about distillation until we have wood production set up. Some kind of clean manner. So the resulting setup here is going to be quite wide. This wood hatchery. Could always cut it in half as well. The limitation on the organization of this is going to be the cat's ability to actually reach every tile in the room. That puts some limitations on the shape of the room, since they crawl on walls. It needs to be a labyrinth. That structure that's well known for being efficiently navigable, the labyrinth. So if I take a storage bin down here, be sure to open this bit up as well. Create some nice, gross, lateral stank ladder. And then just move all stray oxifern seed down here so the cats can do the rest. This is within tolerance. How often cats will try to plant a seed is a bit vague. It seems a bit RNG. I've not seen consistent behavior out of them on that front. They'll just do when they feel. Even if the salt vine would be terribly inconvenient to grow, I can at least get the solid salt deposit here and use that to do some deoxidizing. Some unrusting. Such a tiny change to the scenario. No algae. It just creates immediate problems. Immediate, drastically distinctive issues to try to sort out. There, now that water filter is powered. No domestic wood. Just an end to that. Completely take that out of commission. It's not real. We made it up. Now at least I have the gigantic compost heap. Compost mound. I'll have this orchard stop here. Yeah. one of these trees over to make room for a ladder. Means another one has to move over, but that's fine. So that's a door. 2 more trees up here. Yes, and so this one becomes... This whole section of the room doesn't even need to be there anymore. That bit's not doing anything. Yeah, so on 14 trees accounted for with this. I create a similar magnitude of setup over here. Where, and a lot of trees are just already reasonably concentrated here. Just need to expose more dirt surface area, and nature might take its course with minimal intervention. What if this is the planet where we build less? Because, yeah, an inefficiently placed tree is generating less wood, but it's also creating less labor that needs to be done to harvest that wood. Alright, one pump has done its job. Just got that second natural ethanol pool to siphon up. The wood planet does seem like it would encourage you to build less. Hatch wrangled? Maybe. Probably. Yeah, where else am I keeping seeds? Oxifern do not belong here. I'll lance this. And then also open a vent hole. More ethanol down here that we could tap. At least there's that. There's a reasonable quantity of just raw fuel sitting around to burn. While we sort out what even. Yeah, the ethanol can become water eventually. Kind of the weird thing about the setup that's emerging in my mind is that it would rely on having 2 kilowatts of stuff to do at all times. Like that brine. And I guess with that in mind, I should get the ability to desalinate. Well, we'll finish pharmacology and then we'll do that. Because unless the generator is burning, then we're not getting the residue that we need to refine to get the water that we need to breathe. Although that would also mean that once I have a surplus of water, I do actually need to offload that clean water into the reservoir so it's in an accessible form. Or install the oxifern in hydroponic tiles. Yeah, that would be the change up there. Let everything happen inside of the pipes so that I can also maybe even rig up a smart system to properly prioritize all the liquid flow involved. Somewhere in all of this, when I discover the foundation, if I can define anything to be the core structure, which again could even involve a migration. If I just have the dupes go somewhere else and set up shop. It's too cold down here for wood. Dangerous. Still no sign of any geysers. Things are reasonably chilly on the wood planet. We got cold biomes in most directions. Although, something very hot down there. I should install an electric grill. Which would be exactly too much for the current in-house circuit. Although, wait, 120 of that is the diffuser that's never being used. Yeah, that's fine. I can decommission this for being just useless. There is no algae on this planet. Everyone knows that. At some point, we all accept that. Should pickle all this lice. Germ water fed into an electrolyzer. Many of the germs die off, some survive. You can end up with stench air. Infested air. Should sweep everything out of here before the hatchling gets ideas. Well, not everything. I'm okay with it eating the seeds. The metal, though. This is a planet where the sage hatchling has some real use. Punch a few strategic vent holes to get all of this basement air circulating. Yeah, it's gonna be the usual. That's Meep getting hungry on a long commute. Yeah, Meep who has calorie problems anyway. That's just standard. Meep is known to be barely capable of surviving. That's how he do. I may have to gamble on printing out a logistics dupe to help move all this relevant stuff so many damn cats. Just milling about. So, refinement device, desalinator. Where can I wedge this thing with minimal impact on my layout? Also, right, the water needs to be piped into it. We'll need to take that jug of brine and empty it into something as well. I'm defining a brine reservoir in order to do this. Where do I do that with minimal damage to the wood reserve? Well, the dirt reserve. Dirt, which is the means by which wood occurs. Giant fuel backlog. Power for a bit. And yeah, let me go ahead and create the deoxidizers somewhere. I have 500 kilograms of sand, and the work remains queued to generate more. I have many tons of sand in Potentia that just need to be worked in the crusher. But that much is fine. That should work as a quick and dirty priority system. Water passing through here will try to go into the lavatory. And only overflow that couldn't make it will then be dumped off into the reservoir. Where to put brine? Yeah, over here. Somewhere where I'm mostly removing rock and metal by making this cut. And just a slightly irregular shape, which is fine because this is an absolutely temporary loadout. Make this weird organic hollowing. Just a wood nodule. Fill a bottle emptier, a pump. And the desalinator. Alright, more of our trapped carbon is bleeding down into the basement properly. And this whole setup can just be locally powered. For as much as that will struggle to spin up and get anything done, that's exactly what it will do. Although, wait, how much, yeah, not nearly enough capacity left on that circuit. Unless I refit the entire thing with fancy wire, which would require crushing a lot of aluminum. A lot of aluminum. Might be worth doing. Now, on what ground do I deoxidize? Probably this. It's another good clump of mineral that I can break up. With the further intent that I then try to install a couple of sulfine in there. Although, wait, you're a hanging plant. You do not grow in the floor at all. Interesting. That changes the architecture a lot. If I wanted to do them wild, then I would need ceiling dirt. So I think I am willing to irrigate them for their upkeep of just have sand be immersed in chlorine. And not terribly much sand. Although, how much oxygen does 65 kilograms of salt give me? $65 kilograms every 6 days. 10 kilograms a day per plant. Whereas this wants 250 grams per second. $14 salt plants to provide the needed salt. But then also how many to sink the chlorine? 30 grams per second per day. Well, 30 grams per second over a day. 18 kilograms of chlorine, which is, that's actually very slight. Better oxygen ratio and less bad. Less stench comes out of a deoxidizer. This is a pretty good machine. Oh, I guess also here we're seeing the wild numbers for output. Or no, those are the true numbers. We'd get the wild numbers if we were like pointing at the plant. Consume small amount of chlorine. No statement on how much chlorine that really is. I'd have to go to the wiki, I guess. And then straightforwardly 570 grams of oxygen per second. That's, 5 and a bit dupes. It's a very hefty, weighty life support machine as far as the size of our colony. Gotta be a better spot. I could wedge that. Really, I could just as well put it here, in the middle of everything. Passive ventilation, such as it is. Get some airflow in the side of this. It should be here. Or it should be here. Get the supercomputer out of the way. And let the chlorine residue just rest on the water. That makes sense. Move the computer over here. Yeah, and then deoxidizer, airflow tile, extend the power cable, install the appropriate storage bins there. These would also be good if I can create a hot carbon soup for them to live in. Because while that isn't oxygen, that is carbon sinking into fuel. Very minimal fuel if I'm stuck using them wild, but fuel nonetheless. Biohazardous diver's lungs, and you like tidying, though. And digging and farming. And tidying. I need a good logistics dupe that doesn't cost much air. That's you. Welcome aboard. Powerful janitor. Should stow that crab somewhere as well, somewhere out of the way. Create a crab habitat of some sort, eventually. There, now mopping will happen with some priority. Mopping, and sweeping, and otherwise stuff moving. Yeah, this is still wild for now. I just have it sectioned away in a room. For security. For comfort. Yeah, the chemistry behind this slightly doesn't make sense. How you're achieving backwards rust. Seems like there'd be some catalyzing and wizardry involved in making that all line up. The art of burrowing. Salt can also be processed into food-grade salt. Slightly improves morale. available storage bins are a bit awkwardly spaced. A bunch of the current structure is weird to look at and work with. The hatch is now tame. Wait, do we have both brine and salt water in storage? We do. I guess I need to process one and then the other. Or how well can this switch back and forth between the two liquids? Because it can take both. Yeah, I'd imagine there's some minimum packet size this requires to do a cycle of work. And so if you had a jumbled up mixed content pipe going into it, it would get snagged. Yeah, I've created a couple of oxyfern seed. Make them active sweeping jobs so that our janitor goes after them. Should help us wrangle them down into position. This doesn't seem to be working as hoped. Alright, how about I change it? Let's cut that off, let this pipe come in on its own. It's working. Cat has immediately hassled the stored object the moment it saw. Go work, Cat. Now plant it. Plant the fern. Do it. You know you want that. Look at that perfectly good fern. One of you's gonna go for it. If my water system is now working and holding up properly, which it does seem to be, then I don't need to worry so much. Rust and salt. Get those in here. Seven tons of salt, 9 tons of rust. Well, the rust is the much more important part. How much air does 9 tons of rust get me? $20 days of uptime? Which is 114 days of dupe breathing time. Or 22 days of survival at current population. In addition to everything else that's managing to happen.
Beep.
On paper, the petrol burner, driven by our free-range wood, should be able to provide enough water to run enough oxyfern for everyone here to breathe. On paper. Let me get a bit more automation. Because I could use liquid sensor to enforce that I want the water level to be high before I'm willing to, say, activate a pump to siphon off water into another system. I could then use that to confidently dump surplus water into the reservoir and expect it to be fine. Someone please. Move the brine. Relocate the brine. It's just been sitting there. The brine bottle. 2 kilograms of brine. At least the food supply is holding up nicely. The food supply is simple. Meal is getting pickled and stored. That's all well and good. Could even refrigerate it and make it last forever. There is power to spare for that. Nearly done with the other Upwise ethanol pool. Hey! Hey there! Hey there, assorted liquids. Hey, a glacier. Also a good sign. Alright, there's a future. Will there be algae when we go far enough out? Unknown. Because the planet isn't just the initial biome, it's also the pool of other biomes that the map will be made out of. It's entirely possible that this is just a no-algae world. Well, I could sneak into algae by way of puffs. If I had a regular puffed and fed it polluted oxygen, then it generates slime, and the slime can become algae. Though it would take a lot of these to add up to an oxygen diffuser. Also, you already have the polluted oxygen, just freshen it, and there you go. That's your air supply. There's an objective. I want to steal this cold water and get to this ice. So much power up there. We could live for ages on this water. Weesport, though. What's up? Get out here. Get out here and let a cat install you somewhere. Give me a wild Weesport. Give me free heatsink somewhere in the base. Although we're not terribly warm yet. Things are pretty temperate. The heat from the hot biomes is just barely starting to ooze in. Just punch a hole in it and let the whole thing drain passively down into my grip and then sort it out later. This wild ethanol. About 32 tons of ethanol in the tanks right now and more on the way. Out of 30 tons of aluminum ore sitting around. And the need to, yeah, after I do that, I can research better power cable. It would also require a transformer upgrade, though, and that would, like, split up everything about the upper cabinet here. Could just be careful about power usage. Or move the rock crusher to right up next to the generator and put that on the heavy wire. Yeah, that's a scheme. This makes sense. Put the crusher over here in what will become an industrial zone, where all the hot things are. Alright, the brine has been successfully unloaded. Sort of. Okay, yeah, I just need the vent there. Alright, so this is going to work out. The brine is getting deposited. Visco gel is a high-level artificial substance you can create that is extremely viscous. If you deposit a blob of it on the ground, it just sits there. It doesn't flow horizontally at all. You can use it to build fluid barriers that act as soft airlocks. Turn of seasons means some amount of gunk is returning. As gunk will do. Alright, water filter is successfully cycling. Salt reverser. Cats. You have one job. Egg confirmed. And this hatch is 60. There's enough time left in its life to create a couple of egg. Get me good wire. Just think about where I would put a hydroponic life support farm. Possibly just into, like, this cavern here? It's almost tied for lowest point in the base. It doesn't have any local plant life to be in the way. Wouldn't feel bad about carving it up and reshaping it. It's gonna get kind of warm, though. Oxford can handle up to 40, so it might be safe. This is now low enough to mop. Yeah, the pump has served its purpose. Good work. Strange ethanol tube. Just need to create a receiving area to pour ethanol into in the future. So that itself is a really weird idea, because the ethanol we'll generate for our own purposes is going to be pre-tubed. This base is going weirder places with the shape of its everything, and I'm kind of okay with that. There is some method to that. By the way, there is a detailed list of exactly what jobs each errand type goes to. Don't recall if I've drawn attention to it before. Yeah, so I think it's a storing labor. Or a supply. It's a supplying labor to fill this thing. Let's try to get the orchard carved in here. Alright, so have the pips replanted any of these oxyfern? Not yet. We're at least successfully delivered, though. The pips don't often go near there. Most of them seem to like this cavern more. This one's just stuck on this internal block. Need some sort of bridge to escape with. Or, if I wrangle it but then set it free, it can fall and land somewhere else. Or wrangle it and deposit it. How many rooms proper exist? One lavatory, well, one washroom, one barracks, one mess hall, one stable. Everything else is just the zone. The expanse. Okay. Priority changing got things to work. We're beginning to construct the chlorine. And I guess also the breathing gas. But hey, that chlorine. And this works properly now. Good. Gotta get the carbon out of here, though. I want to properly get the chlorine in there to interact with the water. These first few trace bubbles of the stuff. Quite the conundrum. Because if I just put ventilation in here, then the chlorine will also fall out, and I want the chlorine to stay here. Just sneak in and remove the carbon from between them. Okay, good. This one is on the floor. Wiggle out eventually. think all of my brine is in the pool now. Yes, we have no brine in bottles. It is all here, waiting to be pumped. Suit? Or loud sleeping, diver lung operator would be great, but suit. Somebody gets to be snazzy. Ruby. Planting the Wheezewort would require phosphorite, which I can get by taking hold of the Draco here. Either directly or indirectly. Since they are out here peacefully grazing on their wild pepper. I'm ready to go into the hot zone. Hot chlorine. Very hot chlorine. Where's that coming from? What's over here? It's creating 500-degree abyssalite. Science demands answers. Just kind of snake up here. Try to get a closer look. Well, it will do the work of melting the glacier. And then invite adventure and mystery. I'll leave the pipe there for now, just in case there's some other fluid I want to tap and bring down here. Probably I will migrate fluid just by mostly letting it fall. Gravity will provide the pump. Successful egg. Somewhere. Wasn't this egg? Somewhere out there, an egg is happy. That's an achievement. If I dig down... Let's see, these cats have full reign of this area. Yeah, they'll be able to pass by the fern and have a chance to try to plant them. My carbon solution may in part be to just kick the can further down the road here. Especially since I can then also tap this ethanol. Pull that up for more fuel. This is another pretty healthy patch. Yeah, at least 40 tons of ethanol. Although, must be careful not to release the cats into inhospitable territory. Leave a door behind us. Somewhere. Okay, abandon this bit of weird inorganic tunnel. For a brief moment of architecture. Cat airlock here. It exists only to prevent cat travel. Yeah, mafic rock here is another raw mineral. There's just main component type. Iron rich. Form of igneous rock. And just get this to somewhere that I feel like buffering fuel. Probably not the original fuel tanks, since those are comfortably full up. Plenty of surface I could set aside nearby. Right, a thin chlorine layer exists. But how to steal that carbon? Something that just stays a problem, because every time a duplicate comes in here, they will slightly contaminate that pool. Unless they successfully implement the base where everyone is in a suit at all times. Outside of some tiny habitation zone. Which at this rate could happen. Just need a supply of cloth, which is, you know, waiting right over there. I'm allowed to shear wild sheep, which could be the case. Oh, cats just eat mealwood seed outright. They prefer arbor tree, but they will eat mealwood seed. Alright, those don't need to be swept then. They'll keep that clean on their own. If they're carrying a seed, it's very visible and obvious. They're like squirrels. Seed will be placed firmly in their mouth. That'll be the end of it. Alright, so there's a hot block of obsidian here. I guess there must be magma back here that is gradually cooling as the glacier melts. Stay on this side of the abyssalite. Although, wait, yeah, so where does the scalding start? All the way up here in this chlorine. So actually stay below that. Let all of this rock act as shielding. Continue the exploratory dig down here. We've successfully pickled all meal. Cat, stay out of the fridge. Fridge is not for you. Someone wrangle this cat and put it outside. Put it in the orchard, where cats go. How much do the individual acorns weigh? I can spot one laying around. There's one. No statement on, well, wait, properties, 1 kilogram. All right. I can use very little of the storage capacity here to have everything I need. Cat installed. Not even purposefully in that case. It just happened on its own. Nature found a way. Cat wants to be here. That's right. You know what to do. Plant that wood. Wrong plant. Alright, so they do sometimes plant meal wood. I should remove these. That remains the case. It'll be gone. Although over here, successful tree. It's free lumber. Forever. If I give the cats more dirt surface to play with, like a lot of down here isn't dirt. They also do like to wander quite a ways before planting. New tree? New tree. To some extent, I will have to just let these go where the cats put them. Come on, get that. You want that. That's food. It's time-delayed food. Admittedly, time delayed is a pretty advanced concept to ask of a cat. Create more exploratory tunnel. I do need to probe. What else is even out here? Who can say for sure? More cats, more cats. That's what we know for sure. Cats are here. Cat is lodged inside the wall. How did this happen? Someone, please. Snag these cats. Hopefully this will work. Yes. Very good. That we relocated to appropriate habitats. Kitten. Wild kitten. Water supply seems to be stable. Well, no, water supply is down a bit. There used to be 900 kilograms of tile in here. I need more reasons to rev the generator. I guess 200, then 25 per tile. When? How much wire do I have here right now? $48 long. Then 9 down. Like 50, 60. Probably about 100 tiles of wire in the current setup. And I can switch this to the salt water. Put that through the machine. I could spare a couple tons of aluminum ore. I could allow it to be lost to the crunching. It would take a lot of crunching, but then also I'm trying to actively do work to process the old ethanol. Bringing as much of this as I can into water is going to be helpful. But all the sand has use, so it's not really a waste. Desalinator hard at work. Chlorine is now here, but again, the carbon. Must do something about the carbon. The simple, if suboptimal solution. Filter the chlorine and put it back into the reservoir. And let everything else vent over here, where the carbon will then fall out into the stairwell. Where for now, this is going to call for having a little separate wire setup. To which I may as well also connect that pump, just to have it there. Yes, because then when I refurbish the wiring, these bridges go out, and all of that just gets directly spliced onto the conductive wire. Something like that. Well, 2 wheels is already capacity there. Just have another battery. The moment the desalinator is out of the way, its work is about to be done. Cat wants wood. Cat gets wood. Have you planted a tree yet? Either of you. In your mischief. There's plenty of acorn. Come on, figure it out. You know how this works. Look, these cats have it all sorted out. They'll have wood for days. And this can also scale up, since domestic trees won't be able to produce extra acorns. Cats can figure out how to tear an acorn off of a living tree. Cat hassling is necessary for the arbor reproductive cycle. symbiosis between trees and cats. Nature is beautiful. Won't let that wire connect up yet, just because I want to be sure that this is done, and then I will disassemble the desalinator for a while. Just cut it off entirely. Or not even disassemble it, just disconnect it from power. Just cut the wires and leave this device here, because this is useful. Future small amounts of salt water can be dealt with that way. Okay, good. Here's a nice biome with some wild wart in it. Good. Perfect. Very helpful. We have a heat sink candidate. Plenty of coal around. Still no geysers. Signs that the wood planet isn't geologically active. Mysterious. More salt we can cut into. Hey! Algae! Over here in Phosphor Biome, there is some algae. That'll also be helpful to seize, just as a reserve. More of it over here, more of it over here. Swamp is known. There's a bunch of ruins. There's one. There's one geyser. Alright, what are we looking at? It's cold-ish. And short. Could be slush. Could be cold stench. It's not very far away. Can dig to that easily while staying in mostly cold rock. potentially any of the short geysers. Also, let's see, like, how far off center are we? We're left. We landed very left on the planet. This was a miscalculated pod drop as well. So there's the left edge, this ice, everything we can see over here. We're almost at the left edge of the map. So we should probably dig into and start to tap this swamp in a controlled manner. Set up a passive airlock, get in there, harvest some sheep, and then think about, a morb. Think about suits. Think about airlocks. Think about creating the habitable portion of the planet, and then the outside, the double outside. We already live outside, but this is inside the environment. And of course, if we have a sudden, desperate need of liquid, we can grab this and pull this away from that geyser and just drop it somewhere. Hollow out a bunch of this rust into a basin, and then drop the water into it and then handle it from there. The rust or this granite down here. Something like this cavern. Yeah, exactly where the old ethanol pool used to be. Just wanted to be able to divert it around everywhere where we're kind of ranging wood. Come on, one of you take a tree. It's free wood. Cat. Can they go around the ladder? Yes, good. That's not an obstacle to them. Oh wait, they've planted wood. Good. Trees are online. They've done it. They're gonna be okay, these cats. Yes, with that in mind, I can start moving the various wild arbors into the branches, into the controlled orchards. Then wood can happen. Small amounts of water in here. Interesting. Anywhere with exposed dirt where I can just arrange to drop cats becomes more woodland. Just need to block it off with doors. Also, hey, what's the definition of a park? Park sign, at least 2 wild plants, no industrial machines. And at 4, it becomes a nature reserve. So these will qualify. Oh, this one's too big. Just barely. This one, though, is fine. If I cut down on a bit of the volume of this room, this would become a park. Or if I split it into 2 rooms. Do I need to unlock park sign? No, park sign's here. What category of building is it? Furniture? Yeah, there it is. This is a park. Says so on the sign. Let's see, how much area do I need to cut off of this? "24 tiles. Yeah, I'll cut the room in half. That all works for me. Yeah, just accept that this first tree space is actually going to get hassled out of existence. We need room for the sign. Alright, so a bunch of sensible planning is in motion. Frozen ethanol. Vicious. Perilous. Water supply is on the rebound. Cats just love deoxidizers. Like looking at them. All salt water has been processed. Okay. Power on. And power off. Strange slime orb. Oh, we already have a sage egg. Good. Nice. Finally, a source of slime. This is the slime lung. In its macroscopic form. I definitely need to move this transformer. Well, I'm innately going to be moving this transformer when I switch it into a big. Plant that here. Run the heavy cable down this stairwell. Yeah, that's the ticket. And then we gradually refit the regular wire with conductive wire as it becomes available. In fact, start that rollout now. Yeah, pumping in this wild ethanol also is providing a bit of cooling to the base, since it's coming in very chilled. And 2.4 isn't terrible heat capacity. That's comparable to rock. Alright, we have our tunnel out to here. Just put down some real airlock for security. Then we can just scoop down there and see what we have. Okay, good, we've gotten the carbon out. Chlorine is in. Water will become clean. Ish. Maybe? Maybe. Yeah, toggling is max priority everywhere. I did implement that. Horrible gas creature. It does alright for itself. I mean, if it can't find any stank air, it's not going to be able to generate slime. Really, though, the moment wood has made it in here, the cats can do the rest. Store like 1 acorn in this box. Okay, locks are in. Let's see what we got. Who will answer the call? In this potentially non-hazardous environment that we'll be able to work with. Many of the things this might be are good. Yeah, looking at it again, I think hydroponic oxygen will fit cleanly in here. Yeah, rock floors, there's no dirt to disrupt. Temperature control is something we can put into place once the tech is installed. What are you? Vent friend. Carbon geyser. Okay. Cold carbon. Good. This is a cooling system. I was worried about this corner getting too hot, but that's gonna mitigate some of the heat. And hey! Hey, what's up, hot chlorine vent? Now there's a pal. Eternal companion. Hot chlorine gas. Brain share? Which will take some amount of dupe wrangling in order to open the security doors necessary to get at the chair. Installing extra wiring, that's what it takes. Or reconfiguring the wiring. Because yeah, let's see, what is this on the auto layer right now? Or no, it's all connected to these motion sensors. Yeah, so just dupes need to be here and here to open this door, and then here, and also here and here, all three together to open this door, and activate the brain share. The vaxilator. Second vent finally located. Well, third vent. Second hidden vent. We landed left enough. I guess all the vent placements feel askew. They're starting to appear, though. We are building up a lumber backlog. Yeah, we have the start of something here. Wood Planet felt really precarious, but now that I've accepted the feasibility of wild lumber, of cat farming, Wood Planet's gonna be okay. It's definitely proving viable. Water is up. And chlorinated. Yeah, 20-day half-life. So it will take a while to purify the water, but germ population is declining. And it's not like they eat this water. No water goes into food handling in this setup right now. Yeah, and these plants should remain enough. And any chlorine beyond this level will just sort of waft down into the rest of the building. We'll get some sense of where it gathers. Take this oxyfern count again. Seven seeds known. And then yeah, trimmed most of the ones up here since they are very far from where the carbon gathers. They were sitting idle. Like we have 19-ish? Which, furthermore, 360 kilograms of water a day, which should be within the power of our petrol generator to stank up. Yeah, 450 of stank water. So, potentially we have a core cycle for our ecosystem. Especially since the lumber is falling into place for wildwood. This is looking feasible. We're going to get 24 trees in a controlled environment real soon, like. Controlled, and the important part is close to where the dupes are, so it doesn't take too much labor to go out and find them. Need to install more cats. Stockpile this cold carbon. Space for 21 oxyfern. Well, wait. Or plumbing layer. Do it this way. This will also make it easier to spot contamination that sneaks into the tube. And have it all in a linear fashion so that water can, say, arrive from here unambiguously. Oxyfriend life support. Yeah, migrate the existing domestic ones down here. Start to think about some active ventilation. Nicola. Nicola, get out of there. Oh, you're studying the carbon geyser. You want it. Well, no, no one has been told to investigate its secrets. Don't do that, Nicola. No one goes in here for a while. Carbon can remain a mystery. You started trying this yesterday, and suddenly it was 4:30 a.m.? Yep, it's that kind of experience. Very engaging, has good cycles. Long lists of new problems to discover. Yeah, this won't be active until it has enough plants in it. I can transplant these cats. Once I know that the room is online. And I can relocate cats to other rooms that are still in need. And then, of course, the wilderness, where many still roam free. Semi-domestication. Powerful stuff. Not much lamps, though. Many a lamp are here. Strong lamp noise. Five tons of iron. Oh, some of that is because we dug this tunnel, which went through some iron. Nicola. Nicola. It's my fault. I had a pit dug and didn't make absolutely certain. Nicola. Nicola. Nicola is fine. Got there. No problems. Alright, so long meandering pipes through natural tunnel is how this base does things. That's our culture. Proud history of tube noodles. Like a pile of hatchlings. Those definitely have a place. That place might be lunch. Cad, you know what to do. Well, I can make it easier for you. You know what to do. You're hungry for lumber. You know how this works. This cat is kind of old, though. If any of them fails to lay an egg by the end of their life, that'd just be unfortunate. Right, new transformer is up. Connecting wire is there. So now I want to remove that. This. This. With big priority. Nah. That's a bit too fanciful. I'll find somewhere else to situate storage, maybe even over here. This isn't the final location of the generator either, though it is a strong one, just directly dripping into the cistern. The cistern. Power is temporarily cut. I don't really use the microbe crusher in the current setup. That is also power I could count away. I could just uninstall that. The meal lice are proving effective. The trees are very nice decor. Everyone likes looking at trees. Let me remove the industrial battery. From the dining hall, I guess. People might appreciate that. Maybe. I'm setting kind of a big order for accumulating water. I would definitely rather oxyfern than carbon skim. Preserve the overall mass of material we're working with. The atmosphere is remarkably healthy. Just the one big diagonal slice of stank air. That's the exhaust column falling down out of the generator. Please egg. Nice healthy quantity of chlorine over the water. Healthy quantity of water under the chlorine. Okay, this is being held up by pressure being so healthy in here. I could stand to let more of this vent into other rooms. A lot gets done with just open passive circulation. So that's a low power enough device that I could consider installing it in other places where I want a chlorine layer. Like the stank pit. that big aluminum order has happened. Should have the full budget of conductive wire that I was thinking of using for the upgrade. Yeah. Then rip out all of that. I could run this wire up closer to the base, and then just isolate it with a transformer. Just a regular one here to step it down. Getting that ethanol back around to the burner will be its own weird roundabout task, but it can be done. For now, it's successfully out of the depths. Yeah, the pipe just needs to exist, even if it has nowhere to go yet. And then the storage containers will be active. I would need 8 of them to buffer the entire pool, but that's not too big a deal. That's half the capacity spoken for. Which ain't bad. I could bend this pipe around to get a bit more of that. You can just relax here. You can grill, you can engineer, that's enough for now. Grilling itself, of course, among the higher forms of engineering. Only 800 watts of potential load right now. You have to add more machinery to keep this thing rumbling. Which is delightful. Of all the engineering problems one could be looking at. Yeah, grab that fern. Plant that fern. You pick a spot and you throw down that oxyfern. What you're for, cat. Good on ya. Slightly more oxygen in the caverns. We need a lot more oxygen in the caverns. This is a sizable carbon backlog that needs to be defeated. In a big way. I like that this is the challenge facing me now, that I need to burn more power. On the good wire, I would have enough power. Carry on with the desalinator as well. Running off the battery at first. Yeah, I'm okay with this becoming its own circuit as well. This could run on wheels for a while. Many cat. Many trees. Cat, come on, you have one job. Oh wait, did someone steal your acorns? You got whisked off to some other storage bin? Unfortunate. Make sure that acorns are not buffered anywhere else. They shouldn't be. But I have 16 of them sitting around somewhere. Exactly one is there. What are you up to, Hassan? Ah, salt collecting. There. Do the thing. You have one job. 36 days to do it in. Come on. Take the acorn. Mission accomplished. There's now wood present in each current cat enclosure. Yeah, I can actually tear down these bins. Elevate every job relating to the power refit. As we bring in the clean wire. So much fuel backlogged. Waiting to burn. Water level has been steady. And I have 6 tons of sand. Thanks to all that aluminum crunching. Tree is forming. 18 days to get out of the ground, and then the rest. We can gradually arrange more tree chambers in all the surviving dirt. Well, morning of day 54. Carbon is known. 42 kilograms of carbon dioxide. Hell yes. Unbelievable pressure. More fuel waiting to be tapped. Fuel successfully stored. Top. Chlorine is known. Other mystery geyser is waiting to be investigated. It is also cold. And it is also short. Mysterious. It could be even more carbon. And we can see a bit more of the glacier. So we have, yeah, the bulk supply of emergency water. Or I could even, by coming in out this side, I can avoid the ethanol pocket there and get only the water. That'll be a thing to do. Coming up and stealing that. Setting up an appropriate tube to siphon water off of that glacier as it melts. Or mine ice from this glacier. From this ice biome. Each in-game tile is meant to represent vaguely a cubic meter. Something close to it. Interesting times on the wood planet. So, things to do. Visit that other geyser and see what it is. Tap fuel, install oxygen system. Probably bring down this bulk water so we can feel confident that we're water positive for a while. Use said positive water to start up the oxyfern. This is our real load-bearing way to stay oxygenated. And carry on with this weird organic space filling curve thing that we're doing. This wood economy. Or a wood planet.